The ice sheet cracks under 43 tons of pressure. Not from nature, from something deliberate. 78 degrees north, Svalbard Archipelago, Norwegian Arctic. January darkness absolute, surface temperature -37 degrees Celsius. Through whiteout conditions, thermal signatures materialize. Russian diesel-electric submarines surfacing through Polinia openings, their anechoic tiles invisible to NATO sonar grids. Simultaneously, Chinese research vessels, supposedly civilian, deploy underwater listening arrays along seabed cable routes carrying 95% of transatlantic internet traffic. The Arctic isn't melting, it's militarizing. And whoever controls these frozen approaches controls Europe's northern flank, Pacific transit routes, and undersea infrastructure connecting 3 billion people. This isn't climate change politics. This is $73 billion in competing infrastructure investments, transforming the High North into the most strategically contested real estate since the Fulda Gap. 14:32 hours, Thule Air Base, Greenland, March 2025. For 70 years, Arctic militarization meant token presence. Remote early warning stations detecting Soviet bombers, submarines prowling beneath ice caps. Climate change rewrote those assumptions. Summer sea ice declined 40% since 1980. The Northern Sea Route, Russia's Arctic Passage, now navigable 7 months annually, cutting Asia-Europe shipping by 14 days and 7,000 nautical miles. Suddenly, strategic irrelevance became economic corridor and military frontier. Russia maintains 40 icebreakers, more than rest of world combined. Their nuclear-powered Arctica-class vessels punch through 3-meter ice, escorting military convoys and resource extraction infrastructure. China commissioned its third polar icebreaker in 2024, declaring itself a near-Arctic state, despite being 1,500 miles south of the Arctic Circle. The United States operates one functional heavy icebreaker, USCGC Polar Star, commissioned 1976. That asymmetry isn't academic. When Russian Northern Fleet submarines deploy from Severomorsk, when Chinese research stations proliferate across Svalbard, when undersea cables carrying financial transactions worth trillions lie exposed on seabeds nobody patrols, that's strategic vulnerability measured in frozen kilometers. America's response, the Arctic Defense Infrastructure Initiative, $23 billion through 2030, rebuilding military presence from Alaska to Greenland. New deep-water ports capable of servicing nuclear submarines. Over-the-horizon radar arrays tracking hypersonic weapons across polar trajectories. Hardened communications nodes immune to geomagnetic storms. And most critically, submarines, aircraft, and ground forces capable of sustained Arctic operations in environments where exposed skin freezes in minutes. Compared to adversary investments, Russia's Northern Fleet modernized with 8 Yasen-class nuclear attack submarines, each carrying 32-caliber cruise missiles, quieter than anything NATO operated until Virginia-class boats deployed. The Borei-class strategic submarines, launching from Arctic bases, carry 16 Bulava ballistic missiles each, maintaining Russia's second strike capability. Surface forces include Admiral Gorshkov frigates, equipped with Zircon hypersonics traveling Mach 8. China's Arctic strategy emphasizes dual-use infrastructure. Research stations on Svalbard conduct climate studies using sensor arrays identical to military early warning systems. Polar Silk Road investments fund ports across Iceland, Norway, Greenland, creating dependencies exploitable during crisis. The development narrative begins 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea and pivoted Arctic forces toward aggressive posturing. NATO's northern members, Norway, Denmark, Canada, requested expanded deterrence. By 2021, the Pentagon identified Arctic capability gaps: insufficient airlift for rapid reinforcement, degraded submarine detection in ice-cluttered waters, communications blackouts from geomagnetic storms disrupting satellite links. Thule Air Base expansion adds hardened aircraft shelters and extended runways, accommodating C-17 Globemasters. Alaska's Clear Air Force Station received upgraded radar capable of tracking hypersonic weapons. The Navy procured components for 3 polar security cutters, heavy icebreakers displacing 33,000 tons. first new polar vessels since the 1970s, each costing $1.9 billion. F-35 fighters deployed to Alaska in 2023 experienced hydraulic failures when temperatures hit -50. Lithium batteries powering communications gear died within hours, lubricants froze, composite materials became brittle. Every system designed for temperate warfare required Arctic-specific modifications costing billions in retrofits. The operational scenario reveals why this matters. Barents Sea, 2027. Russian forces conduct exercises near undersea cable routes linking North America to Europe. NATO intelligence detects unusual submarine activity. Multiple Yasen-class contacts loitering near known cable transit points. Simultaneously, Chinese research vessels operate suspiciously near Greenland, their civilian credentials masking intelligence-gathering missions. NATO activates Arctic response protocols. P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft launch from Keflavik, Iceland, deploying sonobuoys across suspected submarine patrol areas. Virginia-class submarines transit Norwegian waters, their advanced sonar tracking Russian boats through acoustic clutter. F-35s forward deploy to Bodø, Norway, their low observable profiles countering Russian air defense networks. The Russian submarine commander realizes his geometry is collapsing. NATO maritime patrol aircraft maintain persistent surveillance. American attack submarines shadow his movements. Every surfacing risks detection. His mission, mapping cable routes for potential sabotage, becomes untenable when adversaries demonstrate continuous awareness. But the real climax occurs beneath the surface at 0347 hours. An American Virginia-class submarine sonar operator detects unusual acoustic signatures, not Russian but Chinese. A Yuan-class diesel-electric boat operating in Arctic waters for the first time, conducting survey operations near critical infrastructure. The encounter marks Beijing's arrival as Arctic player, no longer satisfied with observer status. The American submarine commander shadows silently for 73 hours as the Yuan completes its survey and withdraws. The intelligence harvest is invaluable. Acoustic signatures, maneuvering characteristics, operational doctrine. But the strategic message is unmistakable. China just demonstrated Arctic reach. The aftermath forces recalculation across defense ministries worldwide. Russia's Northern Fleet faces credible NATO counter-presence for first time since Cold War ended. China's Arctic ambitions confront reality that polar operations require capabilities they're only beginning to develop. American submarines proved Arctic capable, but industrial capacity remains constrained. The shipyards building Virginia-class boats face backlogs stretching into the 2040s. Behind every Arctic deployment stands industrial capacity adversaries cannot replicate. General Dynamics Electric Boat and Huntington Ingalls employ 42,000 workers building submarines specifically engineered for under-ice operations. Reinforced fairwater planes, specialized navigation systems, emergency blow systems powerful enough to punch through ice sheets. Lockheed Martin's Fort Worth facility produces F-35s with Arctic modifications. Special coatings preventing ice accumulation, hardened electronics resisting thermal shock, cold weather operational software. The supply chains extend to specialized firms providing fiber optics rated for extreme cold, sonobuoy processors, handling acoustic data in ice-cluttered environments, turbine engines with Arctic-specific materials. 3,000 companies across all 50 states contribute components. This isn't just hardware, it's decades of institutional knowledge, operating in environments where failure means death within minutes. The Arctic defense buildup represents America's recognition that geography matters again. For decades, technology seemed to erase distance. Precision weapons reached anywhere, satellites observed everything. The high north proves otherwise. Extreme environment demands specialized equipment, trained personnel, and logistics infrastructure that only sustained investment creates. Russia maintains Arctic advantage through geography and legacy infrastructure built during Soviet era. China pursues access through economic influence. America's strength lies in alliance networks. Canada, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, unified by shared threat perception. That coalition, properly resourced, outmatches any adversary. Improperly resourced, it becomes symbolic presence adversaries ignore when calculating invasion timelines. So here's the question defining Arctic competition. Would you prioritize submarines and maritime patrol aircraft maximizing under-ice capability, or would you invest in ground infrastructure, ports, airfields, communications networks, enabling sustained presence? Because the Arctic demands both, and constrained budgets force choices that determine who controls the high north when crisis comes, and the ice-free seas become highways for commerce, conflict, and strategic competition. This is DIB Dispatch, where billion-dollar projects meet battlefield reality and the future of strategic competition plays out across frozen seas that finally melted enough to matter.